Good morning, Coach Satterfield.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us as always. A reminder to members of the media on the call, please press *1 to get in the queue to ask questions for Coach Satterfield. Coach, before we get to questions, your thoughts on last week's game against Troy?
Well, I just think, number one, it was a great college football game. I think two good teams battling out, and, I thought Troy did an outstanding job there of finishing the game and getting the win. It was a game that could have went either way, and they made more plays than we did and came down and won the game. So just give them credit. And now we got to bounce back and, host a really good Monroe team that's playing really good football right now.
And, Coach, when you look ahead at this game against UL Monroe, what stands out to you about the Warhawks?
Well, I just think they're playing at a pretty good level right now. I think they're scoring points. Defense is putting some pressure on some offenses, and they're finding how to win. I think you can go back and look at this season, and they played some really close games in the conference play. I think only one team, I think Arkansas State may have beat them pretty good, but other than that, they were right in the thick of things in every one of their Sun Belt games. So there's certainly a team that's starting to gel and starting to mesh and to play really good together.
Thank you, Coach. We'll go to our first questions, and I'll finally properly introduce him correctly. Brett Strelo with the Winston-Salem Journal.
Appreciate that. Scott, I forgot to ask you after the game, just T. Sims, if you can kind of give any just update on, bigger picture, kind of his status of how he missed Saturday's game.
Yeah, he ended up getting a concussion in our last game and did not, following the concussion protocol, was not able to play in the Troy game, but he's back. He's ready to go and practiced Sunday, so he'll be back this week.
With Bentley on kickoffs, I've just noticed that more in the last couple of weeks that he's kind of got his nose in there and made some tackles pretty close to the goal line. Is that some freedom he has to kind of get in there, and is there any kind of a risk reward there for that?
Well, it's certainly a risk, for him to do that, but Bentley's a great athlete and really could probably play some other positions on our team if he wasn't so valuable as a kicker and punter. But, he's really kind of the safety valve on our kickoff team, and he's just kind of seeing the opening right there, and he's got really good speed. I mean, he runs a 4.6, one of the faster kid on our team. One of them probably top 15 or 20 fastest, and so he just fits in there, and he's not scared to mix it up. And, but it scares us a little bit, especially when they went to the review to see if it was targeting. I told the referee on the field, I said, he's a kicker. And, but that's just the way he plays, and he plays wide open.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Brett. We'll go to our next questions from Steve Baer with the Watauga Democrat.
Coach, hey, how are you?
Hi, Steve.
You could just kind of talk about, this was for first place, obviously, and you don't get to play Arkansas State, so, you really can't root for one team or the other, I guess, to create a three-way tie. Can you just kind of talk about just the mood of the team and the disappointment level and what they have to do to bounce back and all that?
Well, I think extremely disappointed. In the locker room after the game, I think everybody's hurt. And then still we're disappointed yesterday, Sunday at practice. And, what we talked about is how we got to, learn from our mistakes, the mistakes that we did make in the game and correct them and come back this week and have a great week of practice. Got a great opportunity this week. It's senior day this weekend and for our guys to bounce back. And there's still a lot of football to be played. You look this past weekend, and number 2, 3, and 4 teams got beat, and so there's a lot of ball to be played. There's 3 weeks left in our conference play, and we have only 2 games left, so we got to finish out strong and finish up with Monroe and New Mexico State.
You're still bowl eligible, obviously. Is that kind of what you focus on now?
I think for us now,
unless somebody loses.
No, I think for us, we're just focusing on Monroe. We're not worried about anything. We can't control anything else that's happening outside of us. And the only thing we can control is how we prepare this week and how we play. And that's kind of what we talked about. To put any kind of other distractions outside is what we have to do. We can't think about anything else but focusing on Monroe. And if you start worrying about all these other things, scenarios and this and that, you'll get beat. And then nothing matters anyway. So we got to take care of our business and do the best we can do this week to play a great game.
If you could just kind of outline Monroe, their strengths, maybe go a little deeper. What do they like to do? What are their strengths?
Yeah.
Offensively.
Well, I think offensively, their starting quarterback ends up having a season-ending injury, and they brought in a freshman, and he's actually played really, really well the last couple of weeks. They're a zone team. They like to run the zone and run the quarterback a little bit, and then they get in the full wide and throw the football, and they're pretty effective. Really, at everything they're doing offensively, they've got a good plan. And then defensively, I think they're a pressure defense. They'll bring the linebackers. They'll bring pressure. They're going to try to stop the run and get a lot of guys around the box and play man-to-man on the outside. So I just think, as I said earlier, I think this team is really starting to play well together. They got two huge wins. South Alabama's a good football team that they beat, and then they just beat Georgia State this weekend and put up a lot of yards on which I think is one of the better defenses in our league. So, I think they're playing at a high level right now, and they're 4-6. So their backs against the wall. They win the last two. They're going bowling, and so they're playing for a lot as they come into our place this weekend.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much, Steve, and thank you, Coach Satterfield. Those are all the questions we have for you this morning.
Hey, appreciate you. All right.
All right, thank you very much, Coach. And